Cathy Engelbert comes out late last night and lets the world know time is of the essence. We are on the last leg here. If nothing gets done by Monday, the schedule will be impacted. Now, we've all heard that before, huh? We've all heard that.
Cathy Engelbert just moved the goalposts again. March 10th came and went. March 14th passed without a deal. Now suddenly it's March 16th, or the schedule gets impacted. But here's the problem. Nobody believes her anymore. When you set a hard deadline and then immediately break it, what credibility do you have left for the next one?
Are you actually going to show a line in the sand? Hey, if this isn't done, I know what Adam said. I know what we were talking about. Now I'm saying it. If this deal is not reached by the 16th, schedule is going to be impacted. Things are going to need to be pushed back. Training camp pushed back. Potential games might be missed if this deal is not done.
This isn't theoretical. Training camp is scheduled for April 19th. Preseason games start April 25th. The expansion draft needs to happen. Free agency needs to open. The college draft is exactly 1 month away. Every single day this drags on creates a cascading problem that doesn't just delay the season, it fundamentally disrupts the entire infrastructure the league spent a year building. And here's what makes this particularly dangerous. The WNBA Players Association Executive Director Terry Carmichael Jackson just went on record saying the league's deadlines feel quite arbitrary. That's not negotiation posturing. That's a public statement that the players don't take the commissioner's threats seriously anymore.
You took our last deadline, didn't really take it too seriously. Fine, we allowed you to do that. But this deadline that I just said yesterday, we're serious about it. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. I appreciate all of the support. Like the video and subscribe to the channel. That would mean so much to me. Shout out to Alexa Filippo. WNBA, urgent.
But let's talk about what happens if they actually do push the season back. Because missing games isn't even the worst case scenario here. Every week they delay pushes the WNBA further into the fall, further into college football season, further into NFL dominance, further into Major League Baseball playoffs. The summer is wide open. Baseball exists, sure, but it doesn't command national attention until late September and October. The WNBA has a clear runway from May through August to own the sports conversation. That's their window. That's their competitive advantage, and they're about to negotiate themselves right out of it.
The better. Why? The summer's wide open. Yes, there's baseball summer, but baseball doesn't really heat up in terms of the national audience until late September, October. The whole summer is wide open for the WNBA to take. They need to get a deal done. The league and union have bargained for double-digit hours each of the past 4 days, starting Tuesday, which was the initial target date the WNBA gave the union for the completion of a term sheet to avoid scheduling impacts on the 2026 season. See, they've heard this before.
Now we're getting into the actual numbers, and this is where it gets messy. The league is offering players on average over 70% of net revenue. Sounds great, right? Except the union is asking for 26% of gross revenue over the lifetime of the agreement. Those aren't even the same calculation. Net versus gross, average versus guaranteed. It's like they're negotiating two completely different deals. And the league is calling the union's proposal unrealistic, claiming it would result in hundreds of millions of dollars in losses. But here's what's actually happening behind closed doors. According to Doug Feinberg at the Associated Press, the WNBA is finally moving off that 15% revenue share number. For the first time in these negotiations, they're coming up. Whether it's 16, 17, 18% hasn't been reported yet, but movement is happening.
18th and the first preseason games are slated for April 25th. Women's National Basketball Players Association Executive Director Terry Carmichael Jackson, who spoke before Engelbert's comments, said she thought the league's deadlines have often felt quite arbitrary. Damn. Nonetheless, Engelbert and Jackson agreed Friday that there has been progress this week, particularly in negotiating the ancillary issues during the past 2 days. Jackson said movement is still the word. As the sides engaged in their 4th day of intense negotiations,
the sides have exchanged year-one salary cap proposals. The league offered $6.2 million, not including revenue-sharing payments. The players countered with $9.5 million. That's a $3 million gap on year one alone. And notice what Terry Carmichael Jackson keeps emphasizing. A system tied to revenue in a meaningful way remains the priority, not a fixed salary cap, not a predetermined structure. Revenue sharing that actually moves when the league's income moves. The union watched what happened after Caitlin Clark's rookie season. They saw the ratings explosion. They saw the attendance records. They saw the merchandise sales. And they're not about to lock themselves into a deal that gives them crumbs while the league banks exponential growth over the next decade.
Vice President Nafisa Collier joined the in-person bargaining Friday evening, but fellow executive committee members Breonna Turner and Alicia Clark, who were present earlier this week, have departed. So Breonna Turner and Alicia Clark go bye-bye. In comes Nafisa Collier. She was done looking over the Unrivaled books. She was done cooking the Unrivaled books. She was done doing the whole Unrivaled media tour. She was done putting out all the Unrivaled propaganda. She was done paying off all of the shills to hype up the Unrivaled propaganda. Now it's time for her to finally join.
Then there's the optics problem nobody's talking about. Breonna Stewart and Nafisa Collier just finished their Unrivaled media tour. They've been everywhere promoting their 3-on-3 league, talking about player empowerment, talking about ownership and equity, and now Breonna Stewart suddenly shows up to CBA negotiations on Friday evening, after Breonna Turner and Alicia Clark already left. She was done with the Unrivaled promotional circuit, done managing that league's business operations, done with the media appearances. Now she arrives to negotiate the WNBA's future. The timing is not great, because it creates this perception, fair or not, that Unrivaled has been the priority and the WNBA has been the backup plan.
Quote, "It is meaningful to sit across the table and listen to their concerns, them to listen to our concerns and listen to why we think something that we're bargaining over is where we want to be," Engelbert said. "Some cases they agree, some cases they don't. We listen to the players when they talk about things and they listen to us, so you know, progress." Jackson added, "Negotiations last time, that's how we got it done. We just keep grinding and keep doing the work around the clock." Now, reports from AP, Doug Feinberg is saying that rumor has it the WNBA is...
So here's where we are heading into this weekend. Both sides are negotiating around the clock. Cathy Engelbert says they've made progress on ancillary issues over the past 2 days. Terry Carmichael Jackson says movement is still the word. Jennifer Rosati, president of the Connecticut Sun, thinks this deal is transformational. But transformational for who? That's the question that's going to get answered Monday. Because if this deadline passes like the last one did, if March 16th becomes March 20th becomes March 25th, the entire foundation of the WNBA's credibility collapses. You can't run a professional sports league when nobody believes your deadlines matter. And let's be very clear about what's at stake beyond just the schedule. This is the first CBA negotiation happening after the Caitlin Clark effect. After the league saw what mainstream attention actually looks like, after they got a taste of what the WNBA could become with the right star power and the right media coverage. The players know they have leverage right now in a way they've never had before. Ratings for games featuring Caitlin Clark averaged over 2 million viewers. That's not WNBA normal. That's transformational, and the union is betting that the league won't risk losing that momentum by dragging this out or by lowballing the revenue share. But the league also knows something the players might not want to admit, that rating spike was almost entirely driven by one player. Take Caitlin Clark out of the equation and you're back to the same viewership numbers the WNBA has been grinding through for years. So how much of that growth is sustainable? How much can be monetized long-term? Those are the questions driving the league's negotiating position. Here's what I think happens. The WNBA comes up to somewhere between 18 and 20% of gross revenue. The players come down from 26%. They meet somewhere around 22% with escalators built in if the league hits certain revenue benchmarks. The year one salary cap lands around $7.5 million as a compromise between $6.2 and $9.5 million. And both sides declare victory. Cathy Engelbert calls it transformational. Terry Carmichael Jackson says the players got a meaningful revenue share, everyone moves forward. But the real test comes in year 2 and year 3 of this deal. Because if the Caitlin Clark ratings bump doesn't sustain, if casual fans don't stick around once the novelty wears off, if the league's revenue projections don't materialize, then that revenue sharing percentage suddenly means a lot less than the players hoped. And if the opposite happens, if the WNBA actually breaks through to mainstream sustainability, if ratings and attendance and sponsorships continue growing, then the league is going to look back at this negotiation and realize they gave up way more than they needed to. That's the gamble both sides are making. The players are betting on continued growth. The league is betting on regression to the mean, and whoever's right is going to shape the next decade of women's professional basketball.
So Monday matters, not just because of the schedule, not just because of training camp and the expansion draft and free agency. Monday matters because it's the moment when both sides have to decide what they actually believe about the WNBA's future.
Are we a niche league grinding for survival, or are we on the verge of something bigger? The answer to that question determines everything, and we're about to find out which version of reality wins. Drop a comment and let me know where you think this lands. Does the deal get done by Monday, or are we looking at delayed training camp and a pushed-back season? Hit that like button and subscribe because this story is far from over, and I'll be here breaking down every development as it happens.